For a few surreal minutes, it didn't even feel like British politics anymore. It felt like the UK had been yanked into someone else's show, Trump's show, and every part of the British system was forced to react to a script it hadn't written. It started with a short, sharp video. The kind Trump loves. No backdrop of flags, no fancy studio, just him, the camera, and a claim big enough to dominate two continents. He looked straight down the lens and said in that blunt New York cadence, "Keir Starmer should be under arrest, not running Britain." He backed political prosecutions. He backed lawfare. He interfered in American politics. People like that shouldn't be in power. That was it. No documents, no citations, no long explanation, just an accusation delivered with total confidence. And the internet did the rest. Within 60 seconds, the clip was ripped, reposted, screen recorded, subtitled, edited with dramatic music, and suddenly every British timeline that had been full of ordinary stuff, PMK's clips, rail strikes, Premier League chatter, was now full of one question. Why did Donald Trump just call for our Prime Minister to be arrested? Reporters stationed outside Downing Street didn't even wait for guidance. They started filing, developing, push alerts, and the first TV crawlers didn't say Trump criticizes UK PM, they said Trump calls for Starmer's arrest. That word is catnip for viewers. It doesn't matter that he has no jurisdiction here. What matters is that the word arrest and the words Prime Minister appeared in the same sentence on screen, globally. Inside number 10, the mood snapped from routine to reactive. People started pulling the exact wording. Foreign policy staff began checking with UK diplomats in Washington whether anything official was coming from Trump's circle, and someone in the press office reportedly said what half the building was thinking: why is this man still able to set our news agenda from Florida? But they also knew something else. This was the worst kind of attack because it wasn't a policy disagreement. It was a legitimacy attack. Trump wasn't saying Starmer is wrong. He was saying Starmer is dirty, and that lands differently with the public. Because Starmer didn't run as chaos or charm. He ran as the adult, the prosecutor, the man who believes in the rules. So when someone loud and global says, "No, you actually broke the rules," people at least stop and look. Outside, the media pack thickened at the black door. Cameras tilted up, producers talking over earpieces, trying to get a live line to anyone inside. You could see security at the gate taking a little more interest than usual because even if there was no real threat, crowds form when drama forms, and London has learned to be cautious. Within 10 minutes, public reaction was already split into very British categories. Group 1. The people who don't even like Trump but loved seeing the political class squirm. They posted things like, "Good. Maybe now they'll feel what normal people feel." Group 2. The hardcore anti-globalist, anti-Starmer crowd who immediately decided Trump was right and Starmer must have done something. Their posts were harsher. "We knew it." "Foreign puppet." "Globalist lawyer exposed." Group 3. The exhausted moderates who said, "Why is British politics always being dragged into American fights?" But even they couldn't ignore the clip because it was everywhere. And then came the memes, because of course they did. Someone made an AI image of Starmer sitting at the dispatch box with phantom handcuffs on. Someone else edited Trump's video so it cut to Parliament in uproar, like he had just addressed the House of Commons directly. Another account put dramatic Hollywood music under it and captioned it UK Season 3. It was ridiculous but also effective because it made the scenario feel almost plausible. That's how modern information warfare works. You make a ridiculous version of a scenario, and it pushes the real scenario a step closer to believable. At the same time, pundits in the US, especially those aligned with Trump, were ready. They dug up every clip they could find of Starmer speaking positively about international accountability, standing with European institutions, and especially anything that looked like criticism of Trump-era politics. They stitched them together and pushed a very simple narrative. Starmer backed lawfare against us. Now we're backing lawfare against him. Was that legally coherent? No. Was it narratively satisfying for Trump's base? Yes. And that's all it needed to be to travel back into the UK attention stream. Meanwhile, across Westminster, MPs started getting messages from journalists. Do you have a reaction to Trump's call? Do you think this damages the PM? Should the PM address this in the House? And this is where it became properly political, because some conservatives couldn't resist. One unnamed MP said, "This shows what we've been saying. Starmer spends too much time playing to the international gallery, not enough time commanding respect." Another said on background, "If foreign leaders think you're weak, that makes us look weak." None of them said Trump was right, but none of them said he was totally wrong either, and that's what keeps the story alive. Reform and right-leaning commentators went even further, saying, "This is exactly why voters are angry. Our leaders are more loyal to foreign courts than their own people. Even America can see it." Now add the street reaction. Within an hour, there were small but noisy groups outside the usual London spots where protesters gather. Not huge crowds, just the type of people who love to be first on camera when the story is hot. One man shouted, "If we can get arrested for protesting, why not the Prime Minister?" That single sentence was replayed on 2 channels because it perfectly captured the mood of resentment. Ordinary people can be fined, arrested. Surveilled elites never are. So when someone as loud as Trump says, "That one, arrest him," it taps straight into that anger. Downing Street knew they had to say something, so a line was put out stressing that the UK is governed by British law, not by statements from former US presidents. It was calm, constitutional, correct, and completely less viral than Trump's. On TikTok, Starmer's steady 12-second clip got maybe a few thousand views. Trump's original rant was being remixed to drill music. That's the difference. Calm is good government. Chaos is good content. Guess which one travels faster? At the palace, nothing. No comment. Which of course made it more interesting. If the King's office had said, "This is foreign noise, we support the Prime Minister," it would have put a lid on it. But silence from the monarchy always gives conspiracy accounts oxygen. Why aren't they backing him? Are they watching this? Is he in trouble behind the scenes? None of that was evidenced. But online you don't need evidence, you need momentum. Foreign policy analysts started pointing out the obvious. Trump cannot command British police, cannot order an arrest, cannot punish a UK Prime Minister. But media strategists said something more important. He can impose narrative costs. He can make Starmer spend 24-48 hours answering a question he did not choose. He can make him look defensive. He can make him look like someone who people suspect, even if only a little. And for a leader whose whole brand is "I'm the responsible one" after years of chaos, that's a bruise. In Parliament there was already chatter that if this dominated the news overnight, Starmer might have to address it more formally, not because he owes Trump anything, but because the British public hates the feeling that something might be being hidden from them. A PM being named and shamed by a former US president is not nothing. It has to be swatted away publicly so that MPs, allies, and international partners can point to a clip and say, "See, he dealt with it." Behind the scenes, the Foreign Office would almost certainly check in with the US side, not because they think the US government endorsed Trump's rant, but because UK diplomats need to know if this is going to be amplified in American media. If UK ministers are due to travel, this kind of noise matters. It changes questions at press conferences. It changes tone in meetings. It makes Britain look like it's in a fight with one of America's most famous political figures. And this is the part that really stings for Starmer. He didn't pick this fight. Trump did. Starmer wants to talk about growth, housing, migration management, international partnerships, normal PM stuff. Trump wants to talk about revenge, lawfare, who should and shouldn't be locked up. And because Trump's version is more entertaining, the world stopped to watch his version. That is the power imbalance of modern politics. The more responsible you are, the less clickable you are. So where does that leave Britain tonight? Not in a constitutional crisis Trump shouting from the US doesn't topple UK governments, but in a narrative mess. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom has just been framed, to millions, as someone who might deserve arrest. That's now in the bloodstream. That can and will be reused by anyone who wants to undermine him, from domestic opponents to foreign trolls to angry activists. Any future leak, any sloppy donation story, any old memo about legal cooperation with the US, all of it can now be recaptioned, Was Trump right? And people will click because they remember this moment. And the public, once they've tasted this level of drama, us versus UK, loud showman versus neat lawyer, rest talk, Downing Street scrambling, they don't want a spreadsheet the next day. They want part 2. Will Trump double down? Will Starmer clap back harder? Will some MP say too much on live TV? That's what keeps a story alive online. Not the truth of it, but the sequels. Which means that even though nothing legal happened today, something very real did. Britain's Prime Minister was forced into Donald Trump's storyline. And for a few hours at least, the UK wasn't leading its narrative, it was reacting to someone else's.